back to the crappy camera. Today we are reviewing episode 6 of season 2 of Love on the Spectrum USA, so please stick around. Hi friends, my name is Claire and this is my channel, Woodshed Theory. Here, I make content about what it is like to live as an adult on the autism spectrum and whatever else feels good to me. So if that sounds good to you, or if you're feeling particularly gracious today, and I hope that you are, please go ahead and click the subscribe button, ring the bell. I almost forgot to mention that I put out videos a few times a week, so click the like and the share. Episode 6, you know what that means. After I talk about episode 6, I only have one more episode to watch and review, and then we've done it. So far this season, I'm finding it easier to watch the episodes as they go on. I still haven't decided why, if that I'm desensitized to the awkwardness or what, but I am enjoying myself and trying my best to be fair and kind, and I hope that you're enjoying watching these reviews. James. I feel like we don't get enough James in these episodes. James only got like 3 minutes in this episode, I think. But the good news is we start with the cliffhanger. Will Maggie say yes? And she does. She does say yes. He asked her out on a second date. Maggie says yes. Not only does she say yes, on the way out, I backed this up. I rewatched it. She gives him a little peck on the lips to say goodbye. She says yes, gives him a little kiss. They hug twice, and that's how the date ends. It went really well. He seemed to have a great time, and I could tell that they seem to be enjoying each other's company. I have barely any notes. Went great, yay, is my notes. Yeah, I could barely see the little kiss because it happened fast, and I wasn't sure if it was like a cheek thing, but then I watched it again. I was pretty sure. And then the person who was filming was like, did she give you a kiss on the lips? And he confirmed. So I'm so happy. It seemed like it went well for them. And I hope that things continue to go well. I actually do know, full disclosure, if they're still seeing each other because I follow James on Instagram and I accidentally got a spoiler. So I won't say anything more about that. I'm trying not to get spoilers and watch the whole season. So good thing we only have one more episode left. Danny! Ugh, another cliffhanger with Danny at the end of this episode. Danny said that things went really well with Adon and she enjoyed her date with Adon and she wants to pursue it further. What an interesting episode. It's strange because... Not strange. It's interesting because... Danny's very interested in an adult relationship where there's intimacy involved. I don't know. Have your children leave the room, I guess, if you don't want them to listen to this part. You've been warned. She's interested in having sex, and she'd like to do that, and she's worried that she's not interested in waiting until she's married, which is fine. Everyone has their own preferences. And she's worried that maybe... if she wants to do that with Adon, that he will have those values and they'll be different than hers and then they'll just be friends. Yeah, I think it's interesting that I relate to Danny in so many ways because I in the past have been very checklist oriented with people. I have my own requirements when it came to intimacy and what I wanted. And it was a line in the sand, a boundary for me. So it's interesting to see her and how she's handling her boundaries. She's really nervous about how to bring that up with somebody, and I really thought it was interesting. She did she had a coaching section. No, that's not what I meant. She had a coaching session with Jennifer, mainly because she wants to know how to bring this up in conversation with Adon. She's interested in having sex before marriage. How do you bring that up? Is that something he's looking for? Yeah, so she just goes over with Jennifer how to talk about it. And I thought that that conversation was interesting and went okay. Basically, Jennifer's like, well, you could just ask him if that's something he's okay with. But also, if he is quiet, just know that it doesn't mean that he's like against it. He just might be nervous that you're talking about that, which I thought was helpful. She also goes into like that, you know, things usually start off with kissing and stuff like that first. So, you know, let things, one thing lead into another, just giving her basic advice. So I thought that it was helpful. The next thing that happened that I thought was so funny is it's right before the date with Adon, and she's showing the producers all these different sex books that she's acquired. And I thought that that was very funny because I didn't have those particular books, but before I was going to take those steps, I was definitely doing research as well. So it's so awkward to talk about. Autistic people like to know what they're getting into. We want to know the rules and what we're supposed to do. So yeah, we research everything. Maybe not all of us, but I know a lot of us do. What a weird thing to talk about. I don't really talk about sex on my channel much. I think it's really personal to each person. It makes me uncomfortable to talk about it in a public way. But here we are. Danny's talking about it, so here we are. I wanted to at least talk about it because I think that there is a thought that it might not be something, intimacy might not be something that autistic people are interested in. And that is not true. So maybe some people, they don't want to be touched, and, you know, that's fair. But a lot of autistic people do want to be in intimate relationships or have intimacy in their life. So I'm glad that at least they brought it up on the show. Another thing Jennifer says is, you know, like kissing comes first. So like you can ask him, do you want to kiss me? If you want to kiss him, you can say, do you want to kiss me? And then give him an enthusiastic response. So that seems to be going well. She does go on the date with Adon, and then they have a drink and they're talking, and things get a little bit awkward because you could tell she wants to bring up the conversation, but she maybe doesn't know how to make that naturally happen. How would you make it naturally happen? I don't know. And it's in front of the entire world on Netflix, so that's pretty nerve-wracking. Basically, she does a good job listening to Adon. He's talking about school and everything, working on sketching, which of course she's into. So after some awkward silence, because I think she's like, how am I going to work this into the conversation? Well, here we go. She starts asking about if he's looking for a mature relationship. And then she just outright asks him how he feels about premarital sex. And then it's a cliffhanger. And I was so good, I turned off the episode, so I don't know what he says. Who knows what he's gonna say? I hope it works out for them. I don't know. It's so awkward. Not every autistic person wants to have sex, but most of them do. We're humans, right? So, or maybe if not sex, like intimacy in other ways. We want close relationships. So there you have it. I've murmured on about this because it makes me nervous to talk about. Connor, he goes on a date with Emily, and the date goes really well. They go to a English tea house. They're both kind of, I think, super nervous, and especially because they chose a place that is really fancy. But I thought that it seemed like they got on very well. They have their fancy tea together, and they have a lot in common. They both like the Transformers franchise. They both have Shih Tzu dogs that are named after Star Wars characters. So, I mean, that's awesome. How could it go any better? Oh, you know what? I did want to say one more last thing about Danny. Somebody in the comments said they could tell it was pretty clear that Jake was not into her like that. And I thought that that was a really interesting comment because I couldn't tell. I don't know if the person who made that comment was autistic or not, but they made it like he was pretty clear that he wasn't interested. And I'm like, oh, he was? Yeah, don't ask me if somebody likes you because I don't know. The answer is I don't know. I don't read people as well as I think I do, especially when it comes to romantic stuff. I'm face value, so sometimes I get the behind the scenes stuff right, but obviously I struggle with it. Okay, back to Connor and Emily. You can obviously tell that they're both pretty nervous, but the conversation seems to pick up. They have a lot in common. At the end, they talk to Connor. He's like, yeah, I think I might be interested in seeing her again. But he's really nervous to ask her. You can tell that. So he's kind of doing the pre-conversation up to that at the end. And then she asked him out on a second date. So yeah, they want to hang out again. And I'm happy to hear that. And I think that they could be a good couple. They seem to have a similar level of experience with dating and they have similar interests. So what's nice about having a similar level of experience with dating is it's less awkward because you're both being awkward. So I'm happy that it seems like they have that experience and it seems like they're going to enjoy each other's company. So can't wait to see what happens. Connor, he seems more confident. He seems more relaxed. And I'm happy for him. Steve, love Steve. I was right. Cheers. Steve, in this episode, ends the date with Shirona. There's a lot of hand-holding. She's still super flirty. They pull him aside to do an interview, and he says that maybe she's a bit strong for him. And I wrote, I knew it. I think she seems like a super nice lady. She's super into Steve, which you can tell. She talks a lot about what growing up Israeli has meant to her and how she got married and had children. And after her divorce, she had to raise them on her own as a single mother. She's been through a lot. And she's talking to Steve about how these are really deep conversations to have on a first date. She couldn't believe it. She's still like touching him, really close to him. At the end of the date, I wanted to say that autistic people are we more naturally have deeper conversations than neurotypical people, in my experience. So I wasn't surprised to hear her say, like, I can't believe we're having these deep conversations, because I think that neurotypical people who want to have deep conversations, they can't always find somebody to have those conversations. Then you like throw in an autistic person and all of a sudden you can have those conversations. So she might be getting a false sense of closeness because it's natural for Steve to have those deeper conversations. That's how I felt about the situation. And then at the end, she tries to kiss him and he's like, she gives him a hug, tries to kiss him. And at least he lets her give a kiss on the cheek. But you can tell that he is a little uncomfortable. And what's interesting is before the end of the date, they're interviewing Shirona and she says like she'd like to see him again. And he, before the end of the date, tells her, maybe we're just better as friends. And I was very proud of Steve in that moment because I could tell that it was a little bit too strong, too much for him. And it's hard sometimes to, when a person is showing you strong emotions, to say, hey, I don't think I'm into this. That's really difficult, even if you're neurotypical. You know what? A lot of neurotypical people would have just ghosted her, Steve. So I'm happy that you were honest with her and that you were honest with yourself and you listened to what you wanted. I think those are all amazing things. Steve is the best. I really wish him the best. I hope that he finds love and partnership. Somebody in the comments was saying like maybe he should date his caretaker. And I understand where that person is coming from. However, I disagree. She's there as a job. We don't know if she's married or whatever. She's there to, yes, you can be friends with your caretaker for sure. But there's also that dynamic of like you're working. I don't know if that's a great idea. if there's like a natural spark, like, yeah, he feels comfortable and he's more himself with her. He's with her almost every day, probably. So just because they seem to get on really well, I don't think that means there's like a romantic spark there. You have to be careful in situations like that, I think. Anyway, I'm really proud of Steve. I think he's growing as a person, and he just seems to have like a great personality too. I hope he finds his person. Finally, Journey. Journey goes on a date with Talia, and I thought that the date went really well. It wasn't as bubbly as the last date. Oh, I wanted to mention, before she goes on a date, you can see her stimming with her new rose quartz bracelet before her last date. And I thought, oh, she's really enjoying that as a stimming tool. So I thought that that was cool. Anyway, I thought that her and Talia seemed to hit it off okay. Journey, you could tell, felt differently about how this date was going than the other date. She said that she didn't know how to talk to her well because there was flirting going on. She thought that the date was going fun, interesting, and scary. She was scared because how do you flirt with somebody who's flirting with you? And Talia was flirting with her and saying really sweet things. So yeah, I think that the date was at a conservatory, which was awesome. I wish I could go there. And then they had some drinks in the cafe. But I thought the conversation was flowing okay. I thought that Talia was very respectful of Journey. They talked a little bit about gender roles and queer relationships, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah, at the end they talk about going on a second date, and I thought that that was awesome. And they hug goodbye, and I thought that that was awesome. So yeah, check, check, check. The date went awesome. It was different. I think it was different in that Talia is not Journey, and I thought that in the last date, Journey and her date maybe had too much in common. Maybe it would have been like dating yourself. Like maybe that's why it was more of a friends thing. But this didn't seem like this. This match seemed a little bit more like maybe a romantic match. So yeah, I'm excited for them, and I'm excited to see where it leads. Talia seemed like a good fit for Journey's second date, and seemed to make her comfortable but also uncomfortable because she was nervous. That's it. That's what happened. No Abby and David in this episode. No Tanner in this episode. But I'm sure they'll be back for the final episode next time. Might take me a few more days to get that out, but I hope that you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments how you thought this episode went. What were your thoughts about the dates and how they went? And I will see you next time. Bye, guys.